All right. Welcome back to the Grim and I. Now, if you remember what happened in chapter 1, we found out that we're jam dead. I don't know how we died, but we're dead. And we're talking with the Grim Reaper himself. I hope you guys are enjoying the Grim and I. It seems to be like a pretty long story. Obviously it's a very visual, interactive, novel game. So, this is, you got to use your imagination. You kind of got to really, really dive deep into the characters. You got to dive deep into the story and really put your mind to work. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right back into the Grim and I. Let's go into chapter 2. Chapter 2, your own personal Reaper. So now what? You're standing in the office at your home. From the floor below comes a rumble of conversation perforated by the clink of polite cutlery, the polite cutlery of fine china. The Grim Reaper is sitting. No, the Grim Reaper is slouching in an armchair by the bookcase that decorated a quarter of the room with every worthy book you have ever discovered. He has said nothing since you left the cemetery in what felt like the blink of an eye, and you have finally grown tired of waiting. Tired because I have no idea what's going on. I have a right to an explanation. I wish I could be with everyone downstairs. I hate being in a room, but unable to interact with anything. I don't know. I'm just tired. Look, I'm tired because I have no idea what the hell's going on. I have no idea. The Grim Reaper turns his hidden face to stare you down, and some of your resolve breaks. You sink to the floor, but you cannot feel it beneath you. You exist within this room, but not as part of it, and though you are unable to touch the objects and the boundaries of your study, you are also unable to leave it. This is the room in which you died, the Grim Reaper explains without waiting for you to ask. You've come back here to haunt it until you learn to accept your fate and take my hand. I thought I already did take the hand. So we're here to haunt this room until we accept our fate and take his hand. I thought I already did. But I tried to take your hand. You protest. It's not my fault it didn't work. You aren't ready to leave, he groans. Your kind is never ready. Are you going to explain what's happening? You demand, rapidly losing patience with your cryptic companion and your thus far unexplained predicament. Are you really the Grim Reaper? So we tried to take his hand, but apparently we're not ready, and now we're in the room that we died in, just haunting it until we become ready. Interesting. Until we accept our fate. The figure beneath the hood gives a hollow chuckle, and lets go of his scythe, which disappears as soon as it leaves his desiccated fingers. I'm a Grim Reaper, he replies, grim being the operative word right now. You stare him down defiantly, waiting for an elaboration. He grabs each of the armrests of his chair and pulls himself out of his slump. Then he leans forward with his elbows on his knees, his hands clasped, returning your stare. All right, he sighs, with the air of an office worker booting up his computer at 9 a.m. What exactly do you want to know? So what do we want to know? I wonder if we'll be able to go through each one of these. What I want to know everything, obviously. Can you explain what's happening? What exactly are you? What did you mean when you said my kind? You said I'm haunting this room. Am I a ghost? Why can't I go downstairs? Why couldn't I take your hand? I don't have anything else to ask. So I think we can go through each one of these. But in the event that we can't, I kind of want to look, I'm haunting this room. Am I a ghost? Like, am I am I Gabriella or Serena right now? Like, I'm the actual ghost. So I want to ask that in case we can't ask the other ones. I'm a ghost. If you like, he replies, would it change your mind about taking my hand if you thought that you were? No. It might. It's not an answer. I don't think it would. If I knew I was a ghost, I don't think I would just be like, take his hand. There's got to be another reason why I'm a ghost. Good, he shrugs. Then, sure, you're a ghost. Then he looks over the window and adds nonchalantly, though if I were you, or if I were in your position, I'd be less concerned with trying to package my ideas into preconceived boxes and more with keeping an open mind. Can you explain what's happening? What exactly are you? What did you mean when you said my kind? Why can't I go downstairs? Okay, so we can ask more. So, can he explain what's happening? The Grim Reaper considers your question for a long time before commencing. To understand that you need to know two things. He lectures in imitation of a college professor. The first is that death happens in stages, and the second is that while it is inexplorable, inexorable, inexorable, it's still a choice. You hold off contesting the paradox, and he continues. Put simply, your body lies, and the rest of you has to move on. To do this, a reaper such as myself will take you by the hand and guide you to the other side. He drops the teacher act and says very seriously, but you have to want it. It is all about intent. This is all you are now, an intention. What does that mean? So if I want to go with you, then you can't make me. If I don't want to go with you, you can't make me. So I can do anything I want. So, yeah, so if I don't want to go with him, he can't make me. I got to be ready. I got to be ready to move on. The Grim Reaper sighs, no, that's not at all what I mean. If you don't want to come with me, then you can't make me make you. Then you can't make you. He pauses before adding, and I resent the implication that I might force you to do anything. Interesting. So, if you don't want to come with me, then you can't make you. So I can't, so I need to want to go with the Grim Reaper. I can't just say, oh, I want to go, but in deep down, it's like have any kind of second thoughts. I have to be ready to go on. I have to be ready to go with the Grim Reaper. I have to be ready to take the hand. I can't have any second thoughts about it. That's why it didn't work the first time, because I had second thoughts. I was asking a bunch of questions. So clearly there was something keeping me from going. Interesting. What exactly are you? What do you mean by my kind? So what exactly are you? I'm a Grim Reaper, as your kind so fondly has dubbed me. I appear to those who have passed in order to guide them to the other side, to show them the door to what lies beyond the veil of life, and so forth. He sits back in the armchair and turns a skeletal hand over as if inspecting a manicure. The gesture provokes your notice of an inconsistency in the situation. There's something about his picture that doesn't make sense, and you're surprised you didn't spot it sooner. Hang on, you ask. How do I know what you look like? What do you mean? The Reaper asks, bemused, not taking his eyes from his hand. I mean the hooded skeleton with a scythe. If you only appear to be dead, then how does everyone know you? He chuckles for the first time with a trace of genuine mirth. Very clever. Although I think you have it the wrong way around. You furrow your brow, and he is patient, even enjoying your attempt to figure it out. So basically, the Grim Reaper is what we perceive him to be, which is what we all think is just a skeleton under black robes with a scythe. Is this even what you look like? The wrong way around. Did people design your appearance? Is it that people who've nearly died, like people who've been resurrected, have seen you and then told others when they woke up? Is that your question? I don't get it. Are you saying it really is just a coincidence? So it's not actually what it looks like. That would be my question. So this isn't actually what you look like? He turns to fix you dead in the eye, or at least you assume that's what is happening beneath his hood. I wouldn't say that, but you're very close, he admits. Obviously, this is what I look like, but try taking it further. Consider my reason for being here. To take me to the other side. Yes, and in order to do that, I need for you to know what you are. You finish for him, comprehension dawning. I was going to say trust me, but that works too. So for him to take us to the other side, we need to be able to trust the Grim Reaper. So the reason you look like the Grim Reaper is because I'm expecting the Grim Reaper. And maybe you aren't going to be so tedious after all. So what does he mean by my kind? Obviously, he meant humans. Death laughs sardonically. There are none so terrible at accepting their fate as your kind. So dogs and cats get the Grim Reaper too? Do they? You ask. Yes, they do. I was kidding. I'm not. The Reaper retorts indignantly, and they're much better at it than you. I could have taken over 10 in the time we've been having this conversation. I guess they have left to leave behind. I'm sorry, I'm not a cat then. Maybe animals have left to leave behind? Have less to leave behind? I don't know. I don't know what I don't know how I would even answer that. Only from your perspective, I'd argue that they're better at realizing when they've got nothing. Now, was there anything else that you wanted to know? Why can't I go downstairs? Somehow you know that the Reaper's eyes have narrowed as he hisses, why? I want to know who came to my funeral. I want to make sure my wife is okay. I want to know how all this happened. I don't like being stuck here. I'm just wondering. Like, yeah, look, I'm just wondering why I can't go downstairs. Well, whatever you're thinking, put it from your mind. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to take my hand. He sits back in a chair. You can't leave this room because this is where you died, and this is where you are haunting. If you died downstairs, we'd be downstairs. And you can't tell me how I died. You check. He shakes his head no. Why couldn't I take your hand? And so the last question. The Grim Reaper groans because you aren't ready. You try to protest, but he interrupts you once again, this time with definite impatience. Oh, well, in that case, I guess we're on the other side and I know nothing about my own job. Thank you for being here to guide me. I don't have anything else to ask. The Grim Reaper seems glad of the respite, and so for a while you only watch him, hidden beneath his hood. Then a thought occurs to you, and you ask, you look this way in order to put me at ease. Does that mean that you could look like something else? Silence precedes a guarded response. If it would help, he says very slowly, I could appear differently, yes, although I reserve the right to refuse a form if I think it would be detrimental to what we're trying to achieve here. You stare at the Grim Reaper in awe, your own personal death customized to specific tastes. If you're going to spend all of your time with the apparition, perhaps it would suit you to have him be as something else. A hooded Grim might have been familiar at first, but now that you know a little more about him, you can think of several alternatives. Death is just one of many psychopomps, guardians of the dead who guide the departed to the afterlife. You could have yours appear as a different mythical figure or a famous face or perhaps a relative or a loved one. He needn't have be male, come to think of it. You have no idea if the being under the hood even has a gender. So what'll it be? Interesting. So now we can change, potentially, depending on if the Grim Reaper thinks it's going to help or not, we can change his outlook. And it's not really him, right? So it's a Grim Reaper. It could be anything we want it to be. How about an interpretation of death from another culture? It would be fun if you looked like someone famous. Could I have you look like one of my parents or maybe a grandparent? Could you be an animal? The Grim Reaper works for me. Okay, so what do we want to do? Let's parents or grandparents. Let's do someone famous, because why not? Death leans back to stare at the ceiling. Do you want someone you found attractive or someone you admired, or both? The Reaper uses the past tense aside. First, you need to decide if you like your death to be male or female. I prefer a male celebrity for my Reaper. I prefer, wouldn't mind having, I wouldn't mind having a female celebrity, I guess. Well, that narrows down your options by about 50%. Well, obviously. Death comments. So who would it be? What look are you going to give her? I'd like my celebrity crush. I'd like a celebrity that I admire. I'd like a celebrity who'd look good playing the part of death. So celebrity crush, celebrity that you admire, or the celebrity to look good while playing the part of death. I'm starting to maybe second guess that this isn't one I wanted. Now I'm starting to think that maybe like a parent or grandparent would have been a better choice. Let's, now that we're here, let's go ahead and just do a celebrity who'd look good playing the part of death. Now let's go with crush. Celebrity crush. It might make it easier to talk to celebrity crush. Probably not. Probably be way too nervous. We're going with celebrity crush. Oh, interesting. Emma Watson, Mila Kunis, Rosario Dawson, and then we can just type in our own celebrity crush, I'm guessing. So we're gonna pick one of the three though. You close your eyes and picture that face, the one that stands out in the sea of icons that adorn screens and speakers across the world, the one human being that you would class as perfection achieved. So between Emma Watson, Mila Kunis, or Rosario Dawson. I'd probably narrow it down between Emma Watson and Mila Kunis. And really thinking about it, I think I'd probably go with Mila Kunis. Not only is she, they're all three gorgeous, but not only are they, beautiful, I think I would get along better well with Mila Kunis. Like, I feel like we would get along better. Like, just personality-wise, I think it would be better with Mila Kunis. So we're gonna do that. The Grim Reaper folds her hood to reveal an exact likeness of Mila Kunis, dressed in nothing more than her underwear. Interesting. Sitting on the armchair in her office, or in your office. If your entire situation wasn't already absurd, this would be the nail in the coffin. Mila Kunis laughs sarcastically as the pun crosses your thoughts. Would you say I'm a dead ringer for her? A sound of Mila Kunis' voice addressing you so casually makes your jaw drop. In spite of yourself, you stammer to reply. That's probably exactly what I would do. I'd start stammering, wouldn't know what to say. I'm assuming this is your liking then. She smirks. It really is phenomenally accurate likeness. For those perfect eyes right down to the perfect body barely concealed beneath the expensive lingerie. Gulp, yes. This will do nicely. Could you maybe put some more clothes on her? No way, I have my Grim Reaper looking like this. No. Look, this is going to do nicely. Perfect, she nods. Now are we all done with the character customization part of this experience? There is one more thing, you point out. If you're going to be spending so much time together, hopefully not that long, but go on. Well, I was only wondering what I should call you. The Grim Reaper takes pause. You wonder if she's ever been asked that question before. She looks down at herself and then back to you and shrugs. Well, I usually go by the Grim Reaper, but I suppose you can call me whatever you like. You still can't read how she feels about the concept, but she's not rejecting it. So how would you like to refer to your new companion? Mila Kunis, Miss M, Grim, Death. Shit, we're gonna stick with Mila Kunis. We're just gonna call her Mila Kunis. Whatever works for you, Mila Kunis sighs. Looking over your handiwork, she looks really quite gorgeous. If blood still pumped in your veins, you'd probably be feeling all sorts of urges right now. An odd thought when you consider that, or what truly lies beneath the perfect face. Mila Kunis looks indifferent to your final decision. Well then, if you're satisfied, perhaps we could move on to the problem at hand. You have to admit that was a little fun. You're right. Sorry for the distraction. Thank you for being impatient with me. Hey, there's no need to be sad. Look, you have to admit that was fun. That was fun. We got Mila Kunis as the Grim Reaper. Mila Kunis' face is unreadable, but before she replies, the conversation is interrupted by the opening of the door. Your heart catches in your chest as the sight of the intruder as she enters catches and breaks. Your true love stands in the doorway, and you are undone. For a fleeting moment, you are not in your office. You are standing beneath a bright sun at the corner of a cobbled promenade. A sweet scent wafts over you. The warmth of coffee is seeping into your clothes, and a young woman desperately stutters an apology. You can't even remember what she said. You were too busy gazing at her beautiful eyes, her dazzling smile, her incredible physique, her stylish fashion, and the book in her bag. I'm gonna go with, I don't know, yeah, beautiful eyes. It works. It works. Wide shining windows into a soul that would one day become entwined with yours. It is these eyes looking tired and red that now invoke in you a reasonable, a responsible, or that now evoke in you a response unlike anything you have ever felt. A thousand emotions rush to the surface, and you are compelled into action without control. Rush to her, recoil in fear and shame, cry out in rage and despair, try to get out of the room through the open door. Let's go ahead and rush to her. Longing for her warmth, her embrace, you spring across the room and wrap your arms around her. I'm guessing we're gonna like fall through her and it's not gonna work. We're gonna end up like landing on the floor or something. You can smell the same scent as first you smelled on the cobbled corner of the promenade. You can feel the strands of her hair in your fingers. You can taste her skin beneath your lips. But these are only echoes. The tighter you try, the less you can feel. And suddenly, you are beyond her. Your arms wrapped around nobody but yourself. Yeah, we fell jammed through the floor. You watch as your partner takes a deep breath and lets it out in a shaking stream. She steps away from the door and walks over to the bookcase, her eyes scanning the spines. She reaches out and hooks a finger over one to pull it back into line with the others. A memory stirs. You remember putting that book away yourself. It must be the last thing you ever read. Your love now walks away towards the desk. You continue to observe her path as she traces her hand along the wood, caressing it. She reaches the chair and regards it as if someone were seated there, as if she were talking to you. And then her eyes turn to the surface of the desk itself, the paper that sits waiting never to be read. Memory stirs again. You were working. She walked in. That was the last time you had seen each other. You're starting to remember what was said. She picks up one of the sheets. Her eyes are shining, her smile, and then her smile slips and her eyes close. She falls back into the chair, the paper crumpling in her hand as tears smudge the last lines you ever wrote. What's her name? The word breaks. The words break you from your frozen vigil, never taking your eyes from the quiet breaths of your love. You reply, your favorite name. My favorite name. Interesting. So, again, this game was recommended to me, and it was recommended to me by one of the Tethered, by a subscriber. So we're going to actually use that subscriber's name in the favorite name. So the person that recommended this game to me, their name is Jen. So we're going to use Jen. And let me guess, you met in Paris. You feel a pang of anger at Mila Kunis's callous sarcasm. Gritting your teeth, you hiss back. Actually, yes, we did. We met in London, met in Macau. We met in New Orleans. We actually met, you know what, Mila Kunis? We actually met in London. Because why not? I don't know. She spit coffee on me. Sounds romantic, the Reaper mutters behind you. It was. Screw you. I'm not sentimental like that. I don't want to talk. Screw you, Mila Kunis. She doesn't react to your retort, but you don't need her to. You need her to shut up. You need her to fix this. You need her to undo everything so that you don't have to stand here watching the tears of the only woman that you have ever loved. Instead, she asks, what's on the paper? Work, you mutter. What kind of work? Some raw data I was looking at, minutes from a meeting I attended, a blueprint, or at least the beginnings of one, just some doodles. I don't know. Just some raw data I was looking at, I guess. Science, Mila Kunis muses, but you are not listening to her anymore. You are remembering the last time you were in this room. Slowly, the memory returns like a figure emerging from a mist. You were in that chair. She was standing in the center of the room. We were fighting, you mutter. Mila Kunis says nothing. Jen sobs quietly into the paper. She said I was working too hard, that I never. The truth is like sand in your throat. The memory is like falling into icy water. Was she right? Comes to the dry voice behind you. You turn around, your eyes squinting from the sting at their corner. She was always right. I was trying to make something of myself. She couldn't see that. It's complicated. I was doing it for her as much as myself. Why do you care? I don't know. Why do you want to know? So we were working way too hard. We everything that we were doing was going to work. We weren't spending enough time with our wife, and she was getting upset, and that's why we were arguing. Look, she just didn't understand. She didn't understand that I was doing it for us. I was trying to create a better life for us. I was doing it for her as much as myself. That's what I'm going with. You take a step forward and look down at the papers, reaching out a hand that you know will not be able to do as you desire. You let it rest upon the paper and watch your beloved, wishing that you could have spoken to her even one last time to help her somehow to see that she was as much of a part of your work as you were. And then she looks up, her raw eyes meet yours, and for one fleeting moment it feels like she's looking at you. But she's not. Behind you, the door opens, accompanied by a cry of surprise. Jen, what are you doing up here? You should be downstairs. This is a sibling, right? Mila Kunis is still positioned by the armchair, watching the proceedings as an impatient detective, both paying attention and wishing that she didn't have to. Yes, that's my sister, you stammer, unprepared for the interruption. And what's her name? At the same moment, Mila Kunis asks Jen answers for you. Hearing the sound of your sister's name aloud gives you another painful sting in the stomach. You and she have had a challenging relationship, to say the least, but she is still your blood, the only surviving member of your family, and her name is. So this name I'm going to go with because at this point in time, this person is my longest standing member of the channel, and that name is Lexa. So Lexa has been the longest standing member of the channel. I'm just gonna go with Lexa. I'm gonna go with Lexa. And we also had a new member the other day, yesterday, Thanucia, and again, welcome Thanucia to being a member of the channel. Sorry, Lexa, Jen croaks, hurriedly wiping the tears from her cheeks. I'll be right down. Rather than leave, your sister remains in the doorway looking over the room. There's something furtive, something furtive about her glances, but she covers this by saying, it's hard to believe he's gone. You know, I almost expected to find him here when I walked in. Jen's eyes darken as she stands because you used to visit so often. Ooh, that was shade. There was some shade there. You flinch. You know Jen never liked Lexa. Oh. She never said it to your face, but it was always clear that she didn't approve of the way your sister treated you. It's not like it was unfounded either. Lexa was lazy, never committing to anything, and preferring instead to find others to take care of her, which many times had been you before you met Jen. When Lexa had stopped being number one in your life, the sibling relationship had become strained. You had barely seen her since your wedding. That must have been difficult, being estranged from your sister. Mila Kunis comments, following your thoughts again. She doesn't sound sympathetic. Her tone is more inquisitive, and you respond saying, "Yes, it was. For all her faults, she was the only family I have. Actually, it was a relief she was holding me back. It was more complicated than that. She and Jen really don't get along. I want to hear what they're saying. Shush, Mila Kunis. I want to hear what they're saying. So interesting. I'm not sure. Actually, it was a relief. She was holding me back. You know what? Sorry, Alexa, but Jim Lexa was holding me back this entire time. Lex's withdrawal from constantly relying on you for everything was a welcome break that you had allowed you to focus on the things that really mattered. Your work, your marriage, your life. You barely know what she's been doing these past few years, and to be honest, you'd rather liked it that way. Look, Jen, I know we haven't exactly been close, Lexa begins, employing the same tone of voice she so often used on you when she was gearing up to give half an apology. I don't want to fight you, Jen replies, tucking the piece of paper in her bag and standing up. Her voice is calm, but you can tell she is on edge. Exactly, Lexa jumps in, missing the warning. We've both lost someone very important, but he wouldn't want you to be in here crying by yourself. He would want us to help each other. Oh, so Lexa is trying to get Jen to take care of Lexa now. Don't. You can see your lover's fist clenching as her voice rises. Lexa never has known how to talk to anyone, least of all Jen. You feel an urge to try and abate the impending catastrophe. Is everything okay in here? The voice comes from the doorway, and someone you do not recognize. He is a young man of around your age, wearing a gray suit and black tie. He has a polite face, if perhaps a little uninteresting, and though he is not in bad shape, his shirt could have done with being a size larger. Hi, Robin. Yes, everything's fine, Jen replies, walking away from her desk. Lexa was just checking up on me. Have you met? This is Tongue-Tied's sister. Your sibling turns to this Robin with the same suspicious look that you are sure you also wear. A pleasure, she responds sarcastically. And how do you know Tongue-Tied? I'm actually a friend of Jen's, the young man responds. Jen glares at Lexa. We should probably all go back down, she suggests, placing a hand on the stranger's arm and guiding him from the room. Your sibling narrows her eyes and follows behind. As she reaches the door, she turns back and scans the room quickly. For a moment, her eyes feel as though they connect with yours, but then she turns and is gone, leaving you with a very specific thought. Who was that? Why was Jen touching his arm? I don't like that everyone seems to be snooping around my office. What was my sister even doing up here? She's up to something. I wish Mila Kunis hadn't seen all that. This was not my family at its best. So I wonder who is Robin? Who is Robin? I have never met Robin in my entire life, ever since I've been alive, which I am no longer. So I'm curious as to who Robin is, and why was Jen touching his arm? Jealous, the Reaper goads. You close your eyes in frustration. It's easy to forget that even your thoughts are no longer your own. Oh well, at least something good came out of all that. You turn back to face your spirit guide. She has risen from her chair, displaying the full splendor of Mila Kunis' marvelous physique and once again stirring strange feelings of attraction inside you as she smiles. I now know what the problem is. I know why you can't take my hand, and I know how we're going to fix that. Very, very interesting. I hope you guys are enjoying the Grim and I as much as I am. It's a pretty crazy story up to this point. Pretty interesting. And I hope you guys enjoyed this last chapter. If it's something that you want to see me continue going forward with, definitely hit that like button. Let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel for more. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, as well as a Spotify playlist. You can also strengthen your Tethered by joining one of 3 membership tiers. And as always, thanks for watching. Love you all, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.